also right on our website, streaming at beadshop.com. I'm going to double check and make sure that all of our streams are up and running here. There we go. I think it's coming up. Great. I'm going to pull us up on Facebook here. There we go. I just got my notification. That's great. And it looks like we're up on YouTube. Hooray! We're working on everything. Perfect. I'm going to get a little bit of water here because all of a sudden, right before we went on, I started coughing. But there we go. Alrighty. That should fix us. So, we are up and running it. There we go. And I can see everybody's hellos and working, and we're ready to go. It's great to see everybody. Awesome. I've got you. Okay. Great. Well, it is Wednesday, the 21st of November, the day before Thanksgiving here in the States. And we are running around bustling, getting orders out, all kinds of stuff before our break, before the Thanksgiving holiday. Thankfully, it has started to rain here in California. So the smoke from those devastating fires that we had, 10 days of crazy, crazy smoke here in the Bay Area, has cleared. And I think our spirits have also lifted with that clearing. We still want to give a big shout out. There are so many people affected during this Thanksgiving time that we wanted to especially give a shout out to everybody who's having some rough times today, this week, and going on, you know, with all of the craziness that's happening with those fires. So our thoughts are still going out to you, and we hope that you guys all have a safe holiday wherever you guys are. But today, inside, it's bright and full of creativity, and we're going to be jumping into all of this business with working with chain, which is going to be great. So I'm in front of the camera, me, Kate. Mirandowin's behind the camera, working all those angles there. And we've got Emily, our wonderful Emily Miller, who is moderating from afar, going back and forth between YouTube and our Facebook feed. And I also believe we've got Gita on here. I think we do, maybe as beadshop.com. Yes, there she is. It looks like Emily's also linking, but hopefully we'll have Gita jump on as well. So there we are. We're all set and ready to go. So I'm going to jump in pretty quickly because we've got so much to cover and get started, and I've got so much in front of me here on the desk. So let's see what we've got. We've got everybody here and wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving here in the U.S., and it's great to have all of you watching us from around the globe. You know, if you go to our website, beadshop.com, Janice just posted a new editorial that is kind of a thankful editorial, thanking all of you guys for all of your support of our small business. And we appreciate it all times of the year, but especially at this time when we're very, you know, counting our blessings about how lucky we all are. We're very, very grateful for you guys, and especially this wonderful community that we've built here online, on our webpage, on our Facebook page, and of course on our YouTube channel. And so we really, really appreciate your support of our small business. So thank you, thank you. And if you go jump on our homepage, you'll see this great graphic that Karen made of all of us. It's pretty cute. So so we've got going on there. It looks like everybody is jumping on from everywhere. It's great to have you all here, as I say, from all corners of the globe. It's great to have you. Cindy was commenting about my brooches that I have. One of these brooches is from my collection of vast vintage brooches, and another one of these was a wonderful birthday present from one of our bead table members, wonderful Tammy Drennan. That was a little birthday extravaganza. So double brooches. Why wear one when two is so much more fantastic? Anyway, so it's great to have you all. Great. So let's jump in. I have so many things here on my table that I want to share with you. So we're going to move that camera around, and get started so you guys can see what's up. Okay, so we're going to move that around. Let me get my glasses on so I can see what we're doing, and let's do it. So we have, you know, this project, or I guess the idea for the project that we're doing today, I guess is what I want to say, or the subject. Oh, so there's my computer. I'm going to move everything. Let me move this back actually a little bit, Brandon. Yeah. Excuse me, you guys, while we fix this. Yeah, maybe next time during the test we'll just make sure that it's in the right place here.
I tested it, but I didn't
Is this going over?
That's perfect.
Is this all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, there we go.
Oh, great. Okay, so we're good to go. All right. There we go. So you guys can see what I'm seeing, and we're all set to go. So yeah, it's great. The idea of kind of the theme of this broadcast was we got so many new chains in, you guys, and I was so excited when I saw these new chains that were available. So I went a little crazy when when I ordered stuff. Pardon me. And so we got like 12 new chains, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, you guys need to know what the heck to do with these. So so that's what this broadcast today is all about. I'm going to go over some basics on how to utilize the chain, and then we're going to go through some really cool projects that I think you guys are going to love. So let me start off by bringing some chain. I'm going to move... I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to move some of my projects, some of this stuff out of the way, and we're going to look at these projects actually in just a second. But I want to start by talking about chain and talking about some of the I guess the properties of the different chain that we've got going on. Here, I'm scrolling through my comment feed. There we go. I want to make sure I'm caught up. Let me get all these chains here. Pardon me. Excuse me, you guys. Of course, doesn't that always happen? We have clear air here, so I should be able to deal. How are we doing there, Brandon?
I want to turn this just
yeah,
a
sure.
little bit. Sorry about that, people. Yeah.
There we go. We're in good shape. Okay. So this is some of our new chain, some of our old chain right in front of me here. Let me show you guys what we've got. And you're going to have to bear with me with some of these names because we have all these great names for them. And I need to make sure I've learned them. So some of our brand new ones. One of my big favorites, this is called Crescents. Crescent Moon, actually, and the project I made is called Crescents, or Crescent Earring, and the Crescent Earring looks like this, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but the Crescent Moon is a really great chain, and I want to show you actually how it goes together and how easy it is to open, because I think that this is the one that's giving people a little bit of a challenge, so I'm going to put that one aside. I also want to show you guys, this one's called Fancy Pants, I like to call, and I love that Janice called it Fancy Pants. Well, I think it's hilarious. And this is a chain that has a lot of really great components to it that you can take apart and utilize for different pieces, so we're gonna look at that. This guy here, this one is called Join Hands, and we're gonna take a look at this guy here. How this one goes together. And this one I really love. This one's called a Trio. And I use this one also in our crescent earrings. And sometimes this little tiny chain can pose a little bit of a challenge. So I'm going to show you how to deal with something like this because I love it, love it. And of course, you guys know fine line how much I love fine line. I want to share the project that I did a few free tip Fridays ago with this fine line. And then, of course, this teardrop bauble. We're going to look at that guy. And then, this is a new one for us. This one's called Simplicity. A chain that I've used a lot. It's really super fine, but it's also been soldered. It's a great one to use. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to cut chain. Fine chain like this, and fine chain like this little keyhole. Okay, so for now, oh, and this rustico. I love this rustico. I'm going to hold that one there too. So for now, that's what I'm going to use for the moment. And then, oh, and this satellite. And then I need that. All right, our teeny satellite. But I'll be back with these. So I'm going to throw those guys over there. I'm going to hand that to you, Brandon. Thank you, Tammy Del Nero. Cara handed me a lozenge, so I'm good to go. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, my voice was like, go on vacation already, right? So, but I think I'm okay now. Okay. So, hopefully I'm in
You are.
the feed here, in frame. Perfect. I'm going to lay some of this stuff out. So the first thing that I do, you guys, when I'm faced with all of this chain,
more than down.
okay,
Yeah.
when I'm faced with this kind of chain is, I take a little piece of it, or the end of it, or whatever, and I start to kind of take it apart and see how it's made and how I can, how we want to utilize it, okay? So I'm going to start down here at the bottom with this guy here. And let me also put, so you guys can see maybe for scale, it's a little harder to see, but you can see here's my tape measure. And so you can see I've got some finer chains, some heavier chains. Now on a thin or skinny chain like this, I'll try and figure out whether or not the chain has been soldered. Usually on tiny chains like this, the chain links have been soldered because they're so fine that we don't want them to come apart. And so I use my awl. Why isn't this? I'm going to lop off a little piece of this because this chain isn't going to, there we go. I'm going to show this guy. There we go. That's better. So I have a little piece of it here. And I get my awl, and you can see I try and isolate a link, and then I try and see how tough this chain is by pushing that link down the awl. And you can see I pushed it so hard that that's when it broke. So I know that I don't want to give too hard of a tug on this chain, but let me do it one more time here. See if I can open it up a little bit. And this will tell me if it's been soldered or not. And so see, I was a little more gentle with that tug, and see how I'll pull it off. You'll be able to see how much I actually opened up that length. It's that link right there that I pushed, that I opened up. Let me do that one more time. So you can see, so I know and it'll take some stress, but I don't want to be crazy as I pull it down. So I can see it's soldered, and if I need to open up a link for any reason, I can. Okay? Now, that really comes in handy in this trio chain. Now, it's a little smaller to see, and I'm going to cut a length off of it. The cutters that I'm using, you guys, are the Xuron Maxi Shear. I hold it so it's kind of tight so I can isolate one of those rings, clip right in the middle. Okay. Now, with this tiny little link chain, so tiny it's hard for you to see, getting a jump ring in there can be kind of a pain, okay? And then, like our regular, we've got these new rings, These are our 3mm. They don't really match, but it'll be easier for you to see. This is our 3mm round ring. So when I got it, I tried these rings. I opened them up and I thought, oh perfect, it's going to fit right into that link. Well, as I went in to try and open it or try and put it on there, you can see that oval link or that round link there. It's just a little too small for this chain to go on. So that's when, since I know these links are soldered, that's when I get my awl, I come in, and I very, very gently with my thumbnails pull it down on the awl to open it up, round it up. Now, let me hold it here with my chain nose. It's going to be kind of hard for you guys to see. But can you see? There we go. Come on. It's so tiny. There we go. You can see how I've rounded it nicely. So it gives a little more room or a little more opening to put it on. Sorry, it's a little out of my field of vision, so bear with me here, you guys, while I put this on there. I can slide that tiny little ring. Come on, chain. There we go. And I'll just slide right on that jump ring, just like so. Okay. So you're able then to connect a clasp or whatever it is you want to connect onto that ring there. Okay. And this is the trio chain. That's what this one is. This other one that I used here, this one's called Simplicity. Okay. And you can see, let me pull this design, this earring out that I made. Can you see how each of those 3 strands of the trio chain is connected to a jump ring? There, there, and there. And I opened up these rings a little bit on the ends. And then I just used our 1.5 inch head pin to wire wrap that bead drop at the bottom. Okay. So I think that answered that question, right? Yeah, that one's Simplicity. Yes. So then the crescent moon, this chain right here, let's take a look at that. The crescent moon I love. It's a open fold over chain. And I want to open it up here to show you how it actually goes together. These pieces, I'm going to take this one off because it's not so pretty. The pieces have been die cut. Let me just cut this off so you guys can see. There we go. Okay. So you can see this link. I'm going to open it one more time. Really carefully using my chain nose plier. So you can see how the link is made. It's like a die cut that has those little openings in it.
Oops.
And then,
Sorry.
whoops, are we off camera?
Yeah.
Can you guys see it? Sorry, I'm going to
my
open
bad.
this up. Okay, you guys see that? I've opened it up. You guys can see it's a little round circle like this. Then it has that little tab that folds over to link each of the links together. So if you're really careful when you open this, you could also use your awl. Are you seeing how indispensable, if you don't have an awl yet, can you see how indispensable these guys are? See, I'll show you this side view. This is how this chain is put together. So see, there's that little hook, and then it's flat and open that way. And if you open it really carefully, you guys, you could use it as a component this way as well. Okay? You don't want to work it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you, if you open it just once or twice, you're in good shape. And then that little hook, that's what connects it to the other link. But you could attach a little dangle or something like that to that end. Yeah, I know Kathy just commented on Facebook. She said, well, I guess I need an awl. And yes, Kathy, I guess you do. They're super, they're so handy.
Versatile.
Yes, so versatile. So when you get this chain, what you want to do, what I would do, instead of like cutting it to free the link, I would just go ahead, like with this earring, I just used 3 little sections. So I'm going to count 3, 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to get my awl in there, the tip of my awl, and just open that link up. Maybe pull that little crescent forward and see how then I can take it off and then close it back up. So you don't waste any of your links there. All right, so it's super, super easy, easy to take apart and put back together. Okay, so there's that one. This guy here, this fancy pants chain, let's take a closer look at it. It has rings, jump rings that open and close, that link it all together. So to take this one apart, I would simply just get my chain nose pliers. And it's a nice hefty jump ring. And see that? You could just take this all apart, and then you have all kinds of components to use. These would be great to use, I don't know, all kinds of ways. These would be really nice as components to wire wrap to, or kind of like our mini hoop that we carry. You could use them in the same way as the mini hoop. But look at that. So you could leave it together as a chain, or just take it apart, okay, like that. And you can use these just as components like this, okay. This guy here, and you've seen us do this before, this tiny bauble chain, you can see that in each link, you've got 2 little dangles. So something like this, the link can simply be cut, the bauble's taken off, and now you could combine these with these other connectors over here, right? Those would work really well. You can also, this link, this oval link that it's connected to is also soldered. So you could come in with your awl and open it up if you needed to, if you wanted to round it up, rather than it being an elongated, there we go, rather than it being an elongated oval. Can you see the difference? How I opened that loop up, and those are a little more narrow, okay? This guy, what the heck is this one called? This one is join hands. Now I'm getting a tangle of chains. Let me clean things up just a little bit here, okay? Put that aside. This simplicity chain, which I love. The satellite chain I still want to talk about, so I'm going to put that over there. I want to talk about that keyholes for a second. We looked at the baubles here. Teardrop bauble, I think is what it's called. Okay, alrighty. Get my thing here. My crescent moon out of the way. Alrighty. So here is this join hands. Alright, and this center, this little kind of barbell looking thing, is loose. So it kind of has some movement to it. Again, this is a great chain to take apart for its components. So let me turn it over. See how there's that little oval, kind of almost like a little crimp in there? I'm going to open that bad boy up, again using my awl. Just pushing the awl forward to kind of open up that link. Then I can get my chain nose plier in there. Lift it a little bit. There's that barbell. There's that handy little link. This little round piece, it looks like it's soldered. Let me check it. It's not soldered. It's a ring that opens. I'm going to open up one more section because these are super handy little components here. And since this one opens, you could keep that little barbell one intact too. Let me see if I can see the opening. They're closed so well that it's hard to see. Was that one just a fluke? No, there. Is that the opening? Yes. Good. There we go. Let me take that one apart. There's a little barbell. Let me take apart one more here. Let me get my bent chain nose. It'll make it a little bit easier for me to open this jump ring. These are nice heavy jump rings. This is probably about a 16 gauge wire here. And look at that little component. If you kept those together, this would be nice in an earring. It would look really nice, I think. Okay. Then something like this little component here. Let me get some, I know we've got some leather. Let me grab some here. Thank you, Brandon. Got a little bit of random leather here that I got from our It's a Lot of Leather box. Something like this, maybe if you are trying to keep a bunch of leather together, this could act. Let me connect one of those other connectors to it there. Something like this could just be closed up. Around this leather cord. It would accommodate many more strands than this, but you can see something like this. If I can put an extra couple of strands in there, whatever you needed it for, you could really tailor it. But I'm going to bring it around both of these strands just like that. So these chains are much more than just chains, right? They're also really great jewelry components, right? The question was, does this barbell have a hole? It does not. It's just a little barbell. So something like that could definitely be wire wrapped. I happen to have some 26 gauge wire here. I don't know. Let's just see what happens with it. I'm going to clip some 26 gauge. You could, I don't know, wrap some wire around the center of that barbell. Right, so it has a little little holder kind of like that. Then I don't know. I'm just going to grab this bead because it's here. 26 gauge wire is very thin, so this wampum has a giant hole in it. So see, I could do something like that. I'm going to wire wrap both of these 26 gauge wires as if they were one. You get a round nose plier here. Because they're so thin. So again, I'm just pretending that it's one wire. And I don't know, you guys, I'm just making this up as we go along, right? I purposefully have not prepped very well for today's broadcast because I like the serendipity of the creativity that happens here. I'm going to use that other little link that I cut away. Will it go on there? It will. I'm going to hold it and I'm going to wire wrap it closed using both of these wires again as if they were one. I have a short wire and a long wire, so I've got much more of a longer one, is much longer than the other, so the shorter one I'm just going to clip away. There we go. And I can just kind of wrap it all the way down. Like so. And so I have like little components, you know, and I can continue to wire wrap around. So it's kind of a fun, I could bring another piece of wire here. I don't know, I like this little barbell an awful lot. Bring it around. Then I could add another wampum. Like that. I'll get my fingers out of here in just a second. It's a little rough, but you guys can kind of see where I was aiming for that. And you can kind of play around with the look of that little component chain. But you could, you know, put one of these little two-sided barbells in between two beads, round beads, long beads, whatever. Connect, or you could connect it to a ring like this one. Just depends on what works for you. You come in, connect it to that ring again. So there's all kinds of kind of fun ways that you can take this, how you can take this apart. Okay, looks great. Okay, just making sure I've got all of your questions here. Alrighty. So it may be, you guys, if you're seeing a little bit of a delay or a little bit of pixelating on the feed, when you watch this on replay, everything should even out because we film it in HD. So sometimes when it's live, you know, the feed is at the mercy of our internet connection. So, and again, also with the little bit of weather we're having today, might be a little bit of a different, might be a little pixelated. So hang in there if you're having that issue. I want to show you this guy here. This is our teeny satellite chain. And teeny satellite, I dig it so much. And you can see, I have it here. This was a few Free Tip Fridays ago. I'm going to slide all that over. I think I did this earlier this summer on Free Tip Friday. And let's take a look at this chain. I have the teeny satellite here. I have the baby dots and the bitty dots chain here as well. And notice I used, I think this is the 3mm crimp. And all of those chains are coming up and crimping into that closure right there. Okay, so you can put multiple strands of chain right here in that single crimp. Okay, we also have a small fold over crimp, and that fold over crimp fits a single strand. And see that satellite, that teeny satellite, how that just fits right in there. Okay? And all you do to close it is I get my chain in there. Whoops. I said I get my chain in there. There we go. I'm going to have it come out just a hair so I can hang on to it. Then I'm going to get my chain nose plier. Keep it tight right in there. I'm going to get my chain nose plier and fold that crimp over one leg at a time. This way, then this way. Another handy tool, though, you guys, for closing this up is using our crimping tool. See that kind of middle rounder right there? That middle rounder is great for helping you roll that fold over crimp around. So it's a nice round closure and go all the way to the end of that crimp. Can you see how I'm rotating it and crimping, rotating and crimping? There we go. How nice that is. I'm going to do it up at the top here too. This is my Xuron crimping plier, and I'm using that middle rounder. Look at that, done. You can hardly even see that seam. It's a pretty good trick. I like this one. I like this trick. It's a good one, if I do say so myself. Now I'm just going to lop this off a little bit so I'm not connected to the spool. Then I can connect whatever clasp I want to connect it to, right? Like we have the little lobster claw, looks great, the small swivel, and we also have then that 3mm, again it's not the right finish, but that 3mm, it's something we just added, that 3mm round jump ring. It's perfect for connecting all this small stuff, okay? And speaking of connecting, let me really make sure that you guys know when I'm opening and closing a jump ring. It's going to be really hard to see on that tiny one, so I'm going to get a bigger one. Okay. I keep all my jump rings, we label them here. One of these little storage things that we have on the website. You can store them by size, by color, whatever, but this is really handy, so you always have your jump rings in there. Then you can see this jump ring the way it is here. There is a jump or an opening in it. The way I like to open and close my jump rings, I'm right-handed, so I hold my straight chain nose in my right hand or my dominant hand, and I hold my bent chain nose in my non-dominant or my left hand. And I hold it nice and tight, almost to where the opening is. Can you see that? The opening of the jump ring, if I'm over here on this side, the jump ring is pointing up towards 12 o'clock right here on the ring, okay? And then I grab it with my straight chain nose and I give just a little twist, okay? And you can see, if I kind of turn it up, you can see that the ring is still nice and round, but I've got a nice opening in there. And we also have a skill builder on it, how to open and close jump rings securely, right on our website at beadshop.com. So see that this giant ring connects to it just fine too. You can connect, I don't know, another, let's see, I've got, you know, one of these big rings, whatever. Okay, connect whatever it is you need to connect. Then I bring it back and I work that jump ring back and forth just a little bit to make sure that the two ends are connected, and I look at it from this angle to make sure it looks closed, and from the top angle. It's not quite closed there if I look at it from the top. There we go. So you can see something like that. This would make a terrific earring, especially if this was, I don't know, you could do mixed metals with it, right? Works for me. You could even do some kind of a briolette drop from that. Briolettes and chain, you guys, are like, I don't know. I was going to say like oil and water, but that's not true.
Like
it's
peanut
like
butter and
peas and
jelly.
carrots, right? Peanut butter and jelly, right? All of those things, right? So,
Bread and butter.
so yes, they work together so beautifully. Yeah, you guys, if you feel like things are a little dark, we also lighten things up a little bit here, but make sure that the brightness on your monitor or whatever device you're watching on is up all the way. That also might help. Again, I'm sorry, though we're really super grateful for the rain. It's a little less bright today here, so so thanks. I'm going to come in. We have a great skill builder on wire wrapping these briolettes, but this is the London Blue briolette, and I love this briolette. As my friend Cynthia Thornton would say, I love this briolette so hard right now. So it is, the blue is beautiful. It's exactly, I don't know, I feel like it's super festive. I just love it. So if I'm going to make an earring just kind of off the cuff, I'm actually going to switch this out, though I love the way this closure is. Let me just open this up. Open this here. Take that off. I have, what's this one called? Sandbar? I think this one's called. It's not on here. I think it's sandbar.
I think it is too.
Yeah. I'm going to cut the sandbar chain. I'm going to actually leave this nice big ring, and I'm going to cut the ring next to it. Right there. And I'm going to use that nice big ring from one of my pieces, and I'm going to put this chain on, and I'm going to close it up. The cool thing about this chain is we get it plated all from the same place, so all of the finishes, if you buy like antique brass in one chain, the antique brass in another chain will match it perfectly, if you're into that kind of thing. There we go. Look at that. Look at that sandbar. Oh, just look at it. I love it. Also, take a look at how it's going to hang. See, that's actually this. You can see the bar is actually not quite facing the way I want it to face. So I am going to throw caution to the wind. I'm actually going to cut that skinny ring away. Let me see if this jump ring fits in here. It's all about experimentation. Let me open that up. The loop in this sandbar chain looks kind of big, the hole in it, so let me see if it fits. Could all end in tears. Come on, I know you want to go in there. Nope, you don't want to go in there. Wah, wah. Let's get another jump ring then. Oh, maybe this one will work. This one might be a little skinnier. Will it fit? Denied. So let me get, I know I have one that fits. Let's see. Since I'm wire wrapping with copper, let's mix up these metals then a little bit. Let's see if I can get this one to fit. I could wire wrap it, but I don't know. I don't know why I'm so fixated on having a ring that fits in here. Let me get one of these.
Widen it because it's more of a narrow.
Yeah, it's a. Yeah, we also have, you guys, which really super come in handy, these oval jump rings, which I just adore. They're oval, so they're long. Look at how that fits. Yes. They're oval, so they fit. you know, they turn narrow corners. So there's that. Okay, and I want this to sit this way. So I'm going to use another oval ring. Let me see how that's going to fit. Okay, so I need to add one more ring in between those. So let's get this round one. I promise I'm getting to the briolettes, you guys. This briolette already, Richburg. But with all of these delightful little components on my table, I just want to link them all together. There we go.
An abundance of riches.
That's right. There we go. Yeah, the oval is great. Hopefully we'll expand the sizes of our oval rings because I love them too. There we go. Look at how nice that looks together. Perfect earring, just as is. But let's gild the lily. Add a briolette. We have, as I say, we have a skill builder for wire wrapping briolettes, so I'm going to go over this kind of quickly. I come in with my 26 gauge and I bring it right straight over the tip of that briolette. So it's nice and tight. Not too tight. We want it to look physically tight, but we don't actually want it, or we want it to look visually tight, rather, but we don't want it to be physically tight, or else you might pop the tip off of the briolette, because they are, you know, they're a little fragile. They're not, you know, they're not going to break if you just look at them, but you want to treat them with a little bit of care, okay? Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to bend down one of these wires down at an angle, get my round nose plier, come up and over the top, go down and underneath. Now, if I'm ready to attach this, I can attach it now before I wire wrap it. And I also want to make sure that if I'm attaching it to something that's wide like this, I want to make sure that that sits correctly. Or I can come in, maybe I like that little round ring as a background, and maybe I want to attach it a little bit higher. Let me see. And I kind of like the look of that, how that round ring and that briolette are kind of on the same plane. So I'm going to go ahead and make that loop a little bit smaller. Yeah, I think it looks nice. That loop's a little bit big, I think, for the scale. So let me ratchet it down just a hair there. Make sure, though that ring does open and close, so I could wire wrap this and then connect it with the ring, but we'll pretend that it's a ring that's been soldered closed, so you can see how I would do it. Now, I just go ahead and I bring my wire around, and I'm going to wire wrap really neatly and cleanly. I've kind of purposefully given myself kind of a long neck to wire wrap around. You can make this neck a little shorter if you want, but I think that the look of the little wire wraps one below the other look kind of nice in this design.
Is there a particular size of wire that you would recommend?
Yeah, this is 26 gauge still. Anything bigger than this 26, you're going to have a little bit of a trouble with, I think. So 26 gauge, I think, is the right way to go. Then I'm going to use my bent chain nose, and I'm going to come in and close this up. Get a little, you need to use kind of a light touch. We don't want to kind of smush everything too out of shape. There we go. So just a light touch when you do this. But again, our skill builder on beadshop.com is perfect for following. So let's see how these two little dudes look next to each other. I think they look amazing. So now you can add an ear wire of your choice. I don't know if I have any sitting in here. We have a whole bunch of really good ear wires that you can use. Kind of like the one that I used here, this lever back would be a good one. You can use just our little open hook on that one, but I've got a lever back right here. So let me go ahead and open this one up. And to open this, it's kind of hard to see. This lever back, the loop actually does open here. And I'm going to come in with my bent chain. I'm going to grab it right next to that opening, and I'm going to lift it. I'm going to only lift it as large, or as, you know, as wide, rather, as I need to get that chain in. And I'm going to close it up just like that. Maybe before I close it, I just got a little idea. Hang on a second. Where did it go? Where is it? Hold that thought. I'm fumbling with something off camera. Let me see how this looks. I'm going to take this and open this back up. You have to be really careful. You don't want to open and close these loops too many times on this on these lever back earrings, because the loop can be, you know, can have metal fatigue, so we want to be careful. If I had the copper bobble chain here, I might use the copper, since I wire wrapped it with the copper to give it a little bit of a contrast. But the brass works for me too. Yes, look at that high-low kind of an earring. Yes, look at that. I love this. And I could add another little flourish of these baubles. Is there another one here? I could do it, I bet, using that tiny 3mm. Let me see. It's the tiniest 3mm jump ring. That goes in. Let me attach it right to that chain. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, and yes.
Yeah, these earrings would make beautiful tassels in necklaces too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you could totally throw this right into a necklace. I kind of really am digging this kind of bizarre architectural kind of feeling that this earring has. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And I could continue to add little baubles instead of this little grouping of them. I could attach them with those 3mm down here. I could even attach another briolette. I could attach a briolette up top or at the bottom of that selection of, or that little connection of chain there as well. So you can see how we could go, I don't know, I could go briolette crazy. I could wire wrap another one down there. So look at how fun those would be. You could also use, instead of our briolettes, our drops, those check glass drops that we carry. They're a little smaller in scale, and those come in some great colors too. So I think this is great.
That would be interesting, echoing the baubles.
Right, echo the baubles one more time. I thought I had some more cut here. There's another little one. We could just get another, you know, we could connect it right at that junction or something as well. So I think it's kind of fun. I think this would work out pretty well. Okay, so let's look at, I want to just pull all of the earring kind of designs here just real quick so we can get some last looks at this. And then I'm going to move to a couple of other projects that I want to share with you. Okay, this is one using our My Fair Lady chain and our little bead caps called Straw Hat. This My Fair Lady chain I love a lot. It's perfect for an earring. You can see I use that sandbar chain again. I think I used these on a Free Tip Friday. And the sandbar is here. And I dangled 3 of these from, I think this is a soldered ring right here that I hammered flat with my bench block, using my bench block and chasing hammer. Our soldered rings look like this when they're round, and then I just hammered it flat using that chasing hammer and bench block. I do that a lot, and you can hammer a lot of different parts of these chains too. The plating is really solid on these, so that's how this guy was made. And then again, the little, I think I used the oval jump rings here and wire wrap some pieces on the end. So that's that earring there. Then this is one I think Karen did a while back, again utilizing the briolette and our leaf chain, which is so delish. I'm going to kind of push that to the side so you can see it. Here's our leafy chain. I think this is our little keyholes maybe here. This one, and then again another briolette wrap.
Your hand is actually right
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Our briolette wrap here, and then I think this is like a 6mm, or you could use an 8mm, or any bead you like doing with that. And then she just created this as a component and added the ear wire there and the chains dangling from the bottom. And I think she used an eye pin for that one. Okay. And then of course the earring that's in our sample photo for Facebook Live is this one, and the ingredients are listed on the Facebook Live page with the trio chain, the wampum, the 4mm lapis at the bottom and at the top. That's how I connected it, using a little eye pin, connect it through that top bar of the crescent moon chain, and then wire wrapped it to a lever back earring. And you could have more dangles from this. I just did 3 here, but I could have 5, or however many you wanted to have it be a little more luscious. Whatever works for you. Okay. So I think that's all of the earrings I have in front of me for the moment. Okay. So I'm going to move those kind of out of my view for a minute. And I want to bring in some bracelets for this. You guys saw this one, right, with the 3 small chains coming into that. I think this is the fold over. It's the leather crimp. You can find this in our component section. And we have it in a larger one as well. I think this is the smaller one here. But it handles all 3 of those chains nicely. Okay. And then I just did, I'll show you the bottom here, again, a briolette. Our wonderful component pieces here from Nun Design. They work really nicely on the satellite and on the baby dots chain. Okay. So now, let me show you a couple of things that I've been working on. And I purposefully haven't finished this because I want you guys to, number 1, see how it goes together, and number 2, there are a million adaptations of this that we can make. Okay. Oh, and Faye, thank you for mentioning that. Faye just mentioned that on the bead table bead group, our friend Ali Mori made a beautiful piece with the crescent moon chain, and I actually printed out the photo. So thank you for reminding me of that, Faye. This is probably a good time to show it before I go any further. This is a piece, if you're not a member of the bead table, it's our private Facebook group for bead shop customers and fans. You can search it out on Facebook. It's called the Bead Table, and you can go over there and answer a few little questions, and we'll be glad to welcome you in. But you can see this is a piece that one of our Bead Table members, Ali Mori, did. And so what Ali did was, can you see, here's the crescent moon chain. These beads here in between, these are our matubos, and she, or 2/0 matubos. She used probably a 2mm leather is what I'm guessing here, 2mm. She also has utilized these guys here. These are our large hold beads, and I'm going to be using these in just a second. But these are our semi-precious that have the large hole, which is how she got them on that leather. okay? And then she started, this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 strands. It graduates up so it sits like a bib. I think it's fantastic. You could use, you know, make a less dramatic version of this by going a little bit shorter with these moons. You could also do it with a different chain. I think that this fancy pants chain that we have here would also look great. You can kind of mix it up that way. So there's a lot that you can do with this great design. So thank you so much, Allie, for creating this piece and sharing it. But I thought it would be great to share it with you guys here. And then these are just, again, the matte African turquoise. And she probably used these are probably the regular size holes. Though, if they're not the regular size holes, she looks like she used an 8/0 bead to kind of stopper those holes together. So you could use big holes on a skinny leather. Okay, or on a skinny wire, is what I meant to say. Okay, so thank you again, Allie, for sharing that. It's fantastic. I love it. So now, let me show you this chain. This is our, I'm going to get the chain there. It's the, which one is it? Did I grab it?
It might have just gotten taken away
Oh,
and get used. What do
yeah,
you need?
can
I
you
go
grab, it's this one, whatever this one is.
Okay. I will go.
Endless Love, maybe, or
I will go
I don't
get
know.
it.
Brandon's going to grab it for me. People
And
are
what
all,
color?
doesn't have to be copper, whatever. Whatever works for you. But this one, I want to show you guys. This one here is our smaller version. Oh, I have it, Brandon, I have it written down. I'm an idiot. I have it all right here. There we go, what I used. This one's called Run Along, is what that one is. Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Of course, I wrote it out so I would know what I was doing, but you know what I mean. You know, I've got, you should see my table in front of me. It's ridiculous, all of the stuff that I've got on here. But this guy, what we have here, the Run Along, it's the copper, antique copper Run Along. And then what I used, this is good, let me go with the brass. What I used then was I used a 0.5 millimeter distressed pumpkin cord going through it. And then I have a couple of other things that I may or may not attach to it later. I have this organic bee charm. I have the button eyes button, and or I also have maybe this oasis charm we could use. But I want to show you, this is, yeah, and Brandon's running around. She's going to zoom in just a second. She's grabbing all kinds of stuff for me. So we'll get a nice close-up for you guys, and I'm going to pick it up. So what's happening with this chain? Let me show you what's happening with this design. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strands, okay? And the 5 strands have started to be woven together with a 0.5 millimeter leather. So can you see how I just started, I lined everything up, and I just sent my cord right through. Then I got the second row of links, I lined them on up, and I sent the cord through this way. And so the thread makes a little serpentine path all the way down, and now I'm here with this guy. So I'm going to turn it around. Of course, my leather is in one giant knot, so I had it all prepared for you, but since I was moving so many things around on the table, so let me unknot this for just a second. Now this technique you could use in a lot of different ways. A friend of mine who used to teach for us back in the day at beadshop.com, some of you may know her from her articles, my friend Chris Silva. Chris Silva does this kind of same technique, only she does it with wire rather than cord. So if you wanted to do this with wire, you would do it with maybe something that's pretty flexible, like a 26 gauge would work really well too.
And of course,
Okay.
Ellen wants to know how much leather you started.
Yeah, you know, Ellen, since this was a tester, I kind of have, I don't know, maybe like 3 yards, which is probably way too much here for this. I also cut, if this was going to be a bracelet, I didn't know how much tighter it would get, so I cut about 6.5 inches. We can add some length to it at the ends, depending on what button we use, how much cord we leave. So 6.5 inches is a good way to go. Okay. So now, I'm just going to come in with my cord and see how all of the links of wire are leaning the same way. Lean, lean, lean. There we go. See how that just comes through? And I just pull it through this way. And yeah, wire works beautifully, beautifully, beautifully. Any kind of Rollo chain like this will work really nice with it. 26 gauge is perfect because it still is malleable enough to kind of move like this in this serpentine kind of row, but heavy enough that it will hold as you're weaving it. So then,
Run along, Mimi. I believe run along.
run along, yeah, it's a Rollo type of chain. So see here, and see how I flipped the chain, so I'm always using my right hand to push this through. Makes it a little bit easier for me. Okay, and then we'll just stitch it through. Like so, and you can see, Ellen, how much cord I'm using, right? Probably too much.
Well, and if you get that 26 gauge chain, you've got it for your briolette wrapping too.
Oh yeah, 26 gauge wire. Yep, it works
Oh, yeah,
perfectly.
wire. Yeah,
Yep,
so-
works perfectly for that. I'm going to slide it through one more time. And you can see I used the distressed pumpkin on this, but if you used a more contrasting cord, it might show a little bit more. You could also use a contrasting wire. Silver wire would be beautiful here. You can just see, see little flashes of the silver among the copper. But wait, you guys, there's more, okay? Prepare to have your mind blown. I also grabbed, you guys, these tassels, but you could grab any charm. You could grab, this little bauble that I just pulled off of the other chain. So, right, I could put a little charm or a bauble or something. Then I pass it through. Now, look it. Look it. This long piece of cord is kind of silly. But see how you could add, look at how now I have a little bauble on the end. Then I'll come back through. And then I could add a tassel on the other end, right? I don't know. You decide what works for you, right? There's all kinds of design possibilities here. Let me put this through. Okay. So now I could add, I just wanted to show you how great these tassels looked. Anything that has kind of a smallish, get that flipped there. Anything that kind of has a smallish little bail on it would look great, I think. Okay. It does. Mimi is commenting that it looks like chainmail without the hassle. It does, especially since I'm using kind of a monochromatic kind of colorway. So here's this tassel. Let me put this tassel in. Ellen's saying, I'm dying to know how you finish it off. Me too, Ellen. Me too. I think I've got an idea, so I'll share that with you in just a second. I'm going to show you one more woven thing, and then we're going to kind of tackle closing these off. And it's easier than you think. I'm going to give you some ideas because I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. Let's get this tassel going. There's that tassel. And maybe I want to put another little bauble
On the other side.
on the other side. Let me weave it back through. I'm always turning it though, so I'm running the cord with my dominant hand. For me, that works the best. And you really want to check it and make sure that you've gotten all of your links in there. I also tried a heavier gauge or a heavier weight of leather cord with this one, and the 1 millimeter, it was just a little too tight. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're using the 0.5 with this size. And see, so now I can add another, let me get another little bauble, cut another tiny piece of that chain. Yeah, the teardrop bauble gives you a lot of bang for your buck. Janice used it, I think, in like her Mendocino piece or something like that. That worked out nicely. This chain, it's called Run Along. And it's perfect for this. It's a Rollo style is what the style of this chain is called. I also wanted to show you, if you wanted to make it a little bit finer, this is the last pass I'll do with this one, because I wanted to see how that little bauble worked with this. Come on, there we go. And I think it just looks darling, right? So when I was working on this morning, okay, I showed it to Karen, and Karen was like, yes, I love it. She goes, I want it to be an earring. So let's pretend that this stuff isn't on the side, and I turned it around, and I did it with a finer chain, like our little keyholes chain. I could ratchet down the dimensions. I could have it just like this, and then let's pretend that this is super embiggened for, so you can see it. I could add briolettes at the bottom, right, which would be great, right, as an earring. I could also use this, keep it large like this, run another piece of cord or chain or attach it with jump rings up here, and this could be, I could make it a little wider, and it would be a terrific bib necklace. Wouldn't that be amazing? I think it would be fantastic. And you can add like briolettes or things, I don't know, whatever you wanted to, up and, you know, around the piece. I don't know, this makes no visual sense, but you get the idea. You could attach all kinds of little wire wrapped pieces and stuff like this. Okay, and so this would, I think, look fantastic that way. You could also, let me show you this. We had a sample kind of floating around here when we were trying to decide what chain to get. So we have some of this. It's a larger of the chain in Run Along, but it's big. It's not something we carry, but I want to show you how we've woven here, and you leave the center open, right, or the center unwoven, so that the middle part of the bracelet would be able to move around. Okay, so like here I would come in and I'd weave, and then pick it up in the same place over here and weave that way, weave, and then it leaves these center ones kind of open, and you can attach charms or whatever you wanted on this as well. Okay, so that would work nicely. So that, I think, would be great for this. If you wanted to do this weaving with this little keyholes, I also have, you could do this with soft flex. And I have our .014 soft flex here. And I'm just going to cut a few short pieces. I also want to show you how I cut chain when it's small like this, okay? So I get a head pin, I dangle my chain, and I kind of visualize how much I want, and I just give that first one a cut, okay? Then I put another one in, and see, I let it dangle. It's kind of hard to see, so I'll kind of turn it to the side here. And then I can kind of visually go, yep, that's the right one, and I clip it. So you can see I just keep adding all of my chain on my head pin, let it dangle, get it up close right next to it, and clip away the link. Oops, it's that link. There we go. So it's kind of like you're clipping everything one next to the other. Gravity, it's doing its job pulling the chain down, and you can see how everything gets nice and even. I'm going to clip one more here. Come on now. There we go. I think it's that one. So now, if I were doing this with soft flex, I would give myself some extra soft flex here. But I'd loop it all up top. And then there's enough. I would leave a little bit up here. Maybe I'd put a piece of tape or something here, because then maybe I'd come through again. Maybe I'd put a crimp tube or something on it. I could crimp it maybe right there and right there to kind of have a little bit of a holder. But I'll come in and I will, I'm just going to cut myself kind of a short piece here. And you guys can see how easy it is to weave with something like this. It's hard to see because these are so small. The thing that you want to make sure that you're doing when you start this weave off is you want all of the loops that you have to be facing the same way. Where's my awl? Do you see my awl?
Oh, it's right on you.
Oh, it's right. I'm covering it with my arm. You want to make sure that all of these links are facing the same way. That one's giving me a little bit of attitude, so there we go. So they're all even, and then you come in and you just run that soft flex. Too small for me to see without a super bright light. There we go. It's going through because I'm in charge. But I think crimping that little section closed would be a great way to go with the soft flex. I wouldn't knot it off. Let's see if I can get it through. Come on. Who's in charge? Me. There we go. I said, there we go. Let me get this through. And then let me pass it through these two. That one and that one. There we are. And I'm not going to do this whole thing. You guys get the idea. But look at how nice that little small one is woven. And it would be a great earring component. Weave back and forth a little bit there. Okay. So let me show you about closing. First, before I do that, let's put this one aside. I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to bring my last thing in here, okay, that I have. Whoops, sorry you guys, I just hit the camera. Sorry about that. Yeah, you could use thread. Mimi was asking about the different threads and stuff for weaving. You could use like a micro seal-on or maybe a fine seal-on. That would probably work also. This also has some textiles to it. This is our chain called Lydia, and I love Lydia. Okay, the way that Lydia goes together and I just want to show you this really quickly. We used to carry this, and we stopped carrying it, and I told Janice, I said, we're getting this back in. Love of Lydia, yes. It's called the Love of Lydia. And the Love of Lydia chain, Janice named it after her mom because it has such a vintage vibe to it. Okay. So the way that this guy comes apart is this giant link here. You can open it, but you need two pliers. Emily's also saying you could do that weaving with Fireline, and I concur. I think Fireline would be great. We get this open enough, so can you see it's that little component and this ring component. So you don't have to cut this when you get it. Just open that big old ring and take it apart that way. Look at how pretty that is. These are the two components. And I don't know, this one's been cut, but I wonder if we can open this up. We sure can. Look at that. That opens. Then I think, yes, look at that. This has been die cut out, stamped, right? So you could use those two connectors like that as well. I love it. I love this chain. And this, you could cut them apart really carefully where they're connected. Boom. Free them up and use these as components too. If you wanted them to be one-sided, right, because they're open on the back, or you could just use it as a front and back connector as well, like that's on here. But again, it just opens up really easily. Take that connector out and you're good to go. Okay, but what I've also done with this is, you can see I've started to create kind of a bracelet with it. So I got 2 strands of the Love of Lydia chain, and I got our large hold beads. Okay, and our large hold beads, oh, Brandon, I hate to ask you this, but sure, it looks like my computer needs to be plugged in. Okay. Would you mind getting the thing? I'll try and stay in shot. Stay in shot, yep. So you can see we've got these large hold beads, and I'm using a 1mm leather. Okay, so what I've done is I started at the top and I put my leather in, so I've got equal strands on both sides, and I just put a large hold bead right in the center. Okay, then I started to come around and really just ladder. So I've come in, I came through the large hold bead one way and through the other way, and can you see I've made sure that my leather loops are all sitting on top. So you can see on this side you just see more of the chain, so you could use this as the front, or if you want to see more of the leather, you could use this as the front. Doesn't make any difference what you want to do, but it's super easy. It's on that side actually, at the back. And then so what happens is you go through the bead and then you just take it through the side of the chain because it's so big, and I go through the other side right here. Like this, and then I pass it through, again making sure that it stays on the same side always. So I go through here, I go through my bead, and I go back through the chain. I'm using 1mm leather, and I am using the big hold semi-precious. Now, if you were doing this with just our regular semi-precious rounds, you know what I might use? I might use like a 0.4 maybe Chinese knotting cord or something that's a little stiffer, I think, and you could stiffen the ends, you know how I do with the Zap glue. That would take a little bit of playing around, and I haven't really played around with it yet. But the large hole beads and the 1mm leather, you guys, are perfect for this. And so that's all it is. It just nestles right in there. Okay, super easy. So you can see on the other side, you can see all of the beads sit right underneath. I think I like this kind of embellished side maybe a little better, though I don't know. But look at what a nice cuff bracelet that makes. Okay, so now I know you guys are like, well, how the heck do you close these? Well, that's the adventure part of this. And I'm going to talk it out a little bit, and I know that some of you will maybe devise some of your own ways of doing this. To close this off at this end, I've left like an extra end here, and I'm going to cut off an end here for these guys. Okay, let me get this end here. I'm going to clip off another length of this 0.5mm pumpkin. I'm going to put it through like so. And then what I can do is I'm going to actually send this one back through. Actually, maybe that's a better idea. Hold that thought. See how I've got this long one? I'm actually going to send that back through so it's doubled, maybe. No, maybe not. Sorry, you guys, I'm designing and talking all at the same time. Let me go back to my original thought with this. There we go, going through there. Now, what I can do, I can also add visually another, let me put another piece kind of like in the middle there. I think it'll fit. I could add a little bit of glue so it would glue to that, that other piece of cord there. And it comes out, and I could, I'm going to clip all these so they're even. I could use one of our transitions here. Now, I could, this is where you can decide if you need to add more thread, more length, or make it kind of close up. Can you see that there? And this side, what I could do is I could simply have it come around and I could crimp it there and have some ends, and that would be the loop. Or I could tighten it down like so, add another transition on the other side and have an open loop like that. That would be my open loop closure. I could, what I was also thinking, which I think would look really great, is I could come in, whoops, sorry about that, that's my phone. I hope it's none of you calling because I just declined it. Sorry about that. I could also come in and I could macrame this together, which is what I was thinking earlier. I think a little bit of macrame would be kind of gorgeous. And we have some great skill builders on how to macrame. Why aren't my hands cooperating with me today? There we go.
Transitions managed to surprise Emily.
Oh, do you like that transition idea, Em? I do too. I think the transitions are good.
It looks really nice.
I think that they would crimp really nicely. I just want to get these all tied down with the first macrame stitch, and it's giving me a little bit of sass, but I'm not going to be daunted. There we go. You can see our skill builder on how to macrame. You can kind of start it and then you can kind of push it up so it's even. And what I would do is I might close this end kind of like I would do a wrap bracelet maybe, right? So I'd have a little bit of macrame on the end and then I'd end it and then have a, you know, the button loop open and then macrame some more. You could also, if you wanted, you could use one of our cord crimps, and you could crimp all of this in a fold over. You could use the larger fold over, it would look really nice. We also have like the leaf crimps or things like that, but there we go. See how that's starting a little bit of macrame. I also have, for the button closure, we could just come through, see I could macrame that. I could send my threads through, my cords, through the button. I could go this way. This 0.5 millimeter is great because it's so thin. You can get it through a lot of places. This button, in case you're wondering, this is our button eyes button, which I love to death. Has nice big holes in it, and the plating on these buttons matches the chain just perfectly. So I pull that down, pull my excess down. But I want you to be inventive. And see, I could, if this were all a transition, this could all just crimp with the transition. Or I could bring this all down and then I could have macrameed over all of it. But that would be a nice, I think that's kind of a nice closure. Then you could do the cord on the other side. So I think that's pretty cool. That's something that I could do. But you guys get the idea for that with the button and loop. Okay. And then on this one, I think it would be really, really easy to just come in with a piece of cording if you wanted. You could just come through the top of it and over like this. I bet I could I get it through one more time? Yes, I could through the bead. Look at that. And I could just close it again. I could crimp it with that transition and crimp a clasp to it. We have those great, you know, like that fold over like I did at the end of that chain necklace. This one. Like that. That would work. And then you just connect a clasp to it and you do both ends the same way. I think that would look really nice. You could also wire wrap onto here and wire wrap a chain closure so that the chain came together. You guys are asking about the scratch on my hand. It had nothing to do with Alfred and everything to do with me taking something out of my bag and scratching my hand. So, sorry, it wasn't that dramatic.
I'm
Sorry.
glad Alfie is not a...
No, he was not the culprit.
It would surprise me.
Yeah, he was not the culprit. You can get like a bigger, like a nice big jump ring and connect it that way. That would look great too. So it just depends on what you'd like to do with it, right? How you'd like to close it. You could either do that tapered chain or that tapered leather. I also wanted to show you guys one last thing. I know I'm running a little long, but there's so much, and I want to show you, can I have that pin? Yeah. I want to just show you a couple of things for you guys to think about. I've done it on a few Free Tip Fridays. It was a while back, I think, the Free Tip Friday. But I used caps. I used end caps to make tassels with. And I just very, very quickly want to go over this with you because tassels are for the holiday season. We've got this capped off, and we also have, I can't remember what this guy's called. Emily, if you're, this one's called, I don't remember.
Right.
Under end cap.
I can go check with
Yeah.
him.
Oh, Brandon's going to go check for me too. But I want to draw this out because I want to see you guys. Hold me. Thank you, Brandon. I want to just draw this so you can see how this might work. What you want to do is you want to get some chain, and you could use a bunch of different chains. I could use this long and short. I could use this circle back, which I love. Let me get it here. This circle back, and I could get some of this Endless Love, which is kind of like the long version of circle back, and then I could get a bunch of it, right? So it would be all a bunch of different chains here. Then what I do, stay with me on this, okay? What I do is I get a wire, I get a loop, I put all of those chains through my loop and bring it back and wire wrap it, okay? Then I come in, that wire wrap is greatly magnified so you can see it. I kind of squish that loop down if I need to, and I come in with a bead cap and I cover all of that connection so it's under the cap. So then I've got my wire coming up and out of the cap. See how there's a hole?